Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is 1:29 a.m. on this chilly, it's not too cold, it's 35 degrees. It's very still outside, there's no wind. Chilly, clear, you can see all the stars tonight. Friday evening, going into Saturday. It sure doesn't feel like a Friday evening. Alex and I were talking about that earlier. It feels like a Sunday or a Monday. And Alex is going to bed, and so I was sitting there reading a book, and I got about 95 pages into it, doing some gratitudes before that, making a little gratitude list, and I said, you know, I'm gonna go vlog. I could have gone to bed because the bed looked so cozy, and we had a good evening tonight. I got up today, well, I vlogged earlier because I slept all, why is it always, the camera always says that? I slept all night last night, I slept like 14 hours. I think I slept too much because I was tired kind of all day long. But I got up and vlogged. You guys probably know that if you watched yesterday's vlog. And I just have like hair fall down on my face. So I got up and vlogged, and then I came home. What, I did something after I vlogged. What did I do? Before I came home, I can't even remember. Did I? Or did I just come home? I think I just came home. And got the vlog up. And Alex he was finishing, he had heated up some food for brunch. That's, well, he called it brunch with the dogs. I talked about that earlier. And he was watching The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And it was like almost over. So, he was just sitting there on the couch relaxing. And I said, what are you gonna do now? And he said, I'm tired. And he said, I think I'm gonna lay down for a little bit. He goes, I'm so tired, I don't know why. And I said, well, that's kind of what you're supposed to do, you know, on Thanksgiving weekend, is just kind of relax and stuff, right? I'm so happy that he's off this weekend. We get to spend a lot of time together. So he went upstairs and lay down, and I told him, I said, well, if you're gonna lay down, I'm probably just gonna make some videos, which I wasn't sure if I was gonna make videos or not, but so I did a booktube video, a haul video, because I had these new graphic novels and some other things that came in the mail that I was really excited about, which one of them is what I was reading tonight. I'll talk about that in a second. But then I did the booktube video, and then I did a Peterisms video, and then I did a review video because I announced this thing that I'm going to do starting on Monday, which is called Bad Movie Review Mondays, and it's going to be where I review like D-list movies kind of thing. And I'm doing a giveaway on that as well. So check that out before noon Eastern Standard Time on Sunday if you want to enter that. And that's when the giveaway ends. And then I did a drama video, which is funny because I wasn't even expecting to make any videos today. I woke up and I was like, okay, when I'm done vlogging, that's going to be it. I'm just going to kind of hang out today and relax and read. Oh, I know what I did. After I vlogged, I listened to like a half an hour or so of my audiobook, and I was like, I'm going to listen to half of the book today and really get into it. And that did not happen. So hopefully I will be a little bit awake after this vlog, and I can listen to a little bit of Ready Player 2, because I didn't get very much of it done today. I actually made myself some coffee in my new Starbucks cup for hot coffee that I got. I love this cup. I don't know why, but I just used it tonight for the first time. We watched the movie Boys in the Band, the remake, that was on Netflix. And then we also watched the after, kind of like, there's like this half an hour show that was about the guy that wrote it, the writer of the original play, and he helped on the remake too. He actually passed away in March of 2020. But I'll talk about that in just a second because it kind of profoundly affected me. But anyway, I made a cup of coffee at the end. Alex ordered pizza tonight, even though he had leftovers earlier, and I had some leftovers earlier. He ordered pizza tonight for us to watch the movie. So I didn't have a bunch. I had like 3 pieces. Well, that's probably a lot to some people, but I had like 3 pieces of pizza. And I got us Cokes at McDonald's. Tonight I went out and got us Cokes. So anyway, I did all that and then uploaded stuff. I got so confused of all this stuff. So I was like uploading all these different videos, and I got ready to upload my Peterisms video, and I was like, where's my review video? And I had never, like, I had like put all the pieces together with like the pictures and of the posters, for the movie posters, in the review video, but I had never rendered it. Like, I never started it. What is going on with my hair? So I know my hair looks so bad. I've had a hat on most of the day, and it just is whatever. So anyway, my hat is right here, but I just want to take it off too and just feel comfortable tonight. I slept on my hand all night last night, and my hand has hurt so bad today. And I was doing writing, and I was doing these gratitude lists and stuff, and my hand is just like really, really hurting from writing tonight. And I was like holding this book open while I was reading it. I was like, God, my hand hurts so bad. What was I gonna say? So I had to go into, I was like, please tell me that the pieces to this review video are still around, because I wasn't going to refilm it. At that point, I had put the light up, I had rearranged the living room and everything so Alex could be downstairs, and because that was like right before like the pizza was going to come. He had ordered the pizza, and I was like, I can't pull the camera back out and refilm this. So I got in my trash, like on my computer, and I found the pieces, and I put it back together. It just was like, I had to edit this piece into my drama video, because I was editing the piece, and I was editing my drama video. I was like looking at stuff online, and I found this clip that I found this thing that I wanted to film a clip to put into the middle of it. So I had to bring the lights back out to film that piece so that it would be cohesive, and which it wasn't putting it in there, but it's like whatever. And so it was just like every little thing took me forever today. So I started at like 12:30 vlogging, and I didn't really stop filming or doing anything until like 8:30 tonight. And so yeah, that was that. And I did a couple cameos. People are so nice to like keep on ordering these cameos. It's like crazy. Like every day I get on there and I have more and more and more, and I'm just like, this is so nice. People are so fantastic. So I did all that, and then Alex and I had talked about, he asked me, I think it was last night, he was like, are you gonna watch, like, do you want to watch Boys in the Band, or do you care if I watch it? And I was like, no, I really do want to watch it. And he goes, well, if you want to watch it, we can watch it together. He was like, but if you're not going to watch it, then just tell me and I'll watch it now. Because he watches, I mean, he can watch 3 or 4 movies in a row, or, you know, a whole series season, like in one setting, and I just can't do that. And I really very rarely find time to just sit and watch something. And we used to watch a lot of movies. We don't do that anymore as much. So, no, he said something about it today, and I said as well, he was like, did you want to watch that movie? Because I had said last night it would be fun to watch movies one night this weekend. And tomorrow night he's got plans, and he's having brunch tomorrow with his girlfriend. So I was like, so he was like, do you want to watch that movie tonight and I'll get pizza? And I was like, yeah, sure, that'd be fun. So I changed in my sweat shorts and stuff, and my sweatshirt, and sat there and ate pizza, and we watched this movie. Okay, so Boys in the Band is a remake of Boys in the Band that came out originally as a play in 1968, which was a year before Stonewall. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the Stonewall riots were in New York City, and it was kind of like the beginning of like gay civil rights movement. Some people believe it to be. There's a lot of things that kind of started around that, but Stonewall was really kind of seen as the beginning of the gay civil rights movement. And so the play, when it came out, really came out like ahead of its time. And in the second thing that we watched, which was like this half an hour like follow-up to it, the writer was talking about how it was really like the actors were really taking risks by being in it because they were going to be typecasted and they would never, because they weren't like to be like out actors, like it was really could hurt their careers, you know. And he said it was a cast of 9, so 6 of the actors were gay, out and gay, and 3 of them were heterosexual. And then it was made into a movie. And what's interesting about this is that this movie was one of my mom's favorite movies. Like, she would talk about this movie a lot. I don't know, you know, if it's a lot of, like, my mom always acted like she didn't know I was gay, which was always kind of like, I don't know. She would say things like, I just don't know how people even ever guess that you're gay or make fun of you. I just don't get it, you know? Like, when I was older, she would say that. When I was in high school, I did not tell her that people made fun of me. She didn't know that. And so, because I didn't want her to hurt. I didn't want her to be hurt because other people were making fun of me. And I thought that that would really hurt her. And I also thought that she would want to do something about it, which is funny because when I did tell her when I was older, she was like, tell me who their parents are and I'm gonna let their parents know what kind of children. I was like, Mom, like, it's a long time ago. I have like this one hair right here that is like, I trimmed my beard and it's like sticking out and I need to trim it and it's driving me crazy. It's been driving me crazy all day long and I've been meaning to do that. And then I had I was like rubbing my eye and I like rubbed my contact and I had to take my contact out and it like hurt so bad and then I put it in and it's been kind of like, it's not like super fuzzy. I can't tell if I need to put a new contact in or not. It's not like super fuzzy, but it feels kind of like it's fuzzy. I don't know. So anyway, so I had wanted to watch this remake of it, and the remake was with like all out gay actors. And like, I guess it's gotten some criticism because it's based on like gay stereotypes, and it is based on gay stereotypes. But the thing is that it's like, when you're watching it, it's like every person I feel like every one of my gay friends is kind of like at least one of the characters, like, in the movie. So, I mean, you know, a lot of people say stereotypes are based on truth. I don't know if I believe that or not. It was weird because I was talking in my BookTube video today about the importance of representation in books. And I think especially for those of us coming out, no matter what age you are, you know, to be able to see representation of yourself, like to be able to see yourself in a movie or whatever. And there's so many movies and books now, you know, of all different kinds of experiences of, you know, different people and what they're like. And so you can't really compare any two experiences because I think every experience is different, right? But like to be able to see yourself a little bit in somebody else's story, I think is so important. And they were saying, he said in the second thing, they were interviewing him, and he said, like, some of the actors were saying it's interesting because a lot of like older gay men are like I don't see myself in that story at all. And then a lot of but then there are other older gay men that are like, oh my God, you're telling my story. And then there were like younger gay men that were like, I don't see myself in your story at all. And there were younger gay men that were like, oh my God, you're telling my story. So it's like, it just kind of depends on who is watching it and who you identify with and stuff, you know? And there were pieces of it that really reminded me of, you know, there was a period of my life, a very long period of my life, where I had 3 very close gay friends. Okay, I started telling a specific story about a specific friend. So anyway, let's go back into what I was saying was that, you know, at a period of my life, I had 3, you know, gay guy friends that we were like, the 4 of us were really close. And when I was watching the movie tonight, it really reminded me a lot of like our friendship. Like pieces of it reminded me of our friendship. Like I could kind of see, I don't remember all of their names in the movie, but I could kind of see each of us like as a certain character. And it was interesting because I really saw myself at that point in my life like the Matt Bomer character. I think his name is Donald. And my other, I just saw pieces, and it was like, you know, it's interesting, I think, that I saw pieces of all of us and all of the characters. I don't know. I just thought it was such a profoundly fantastic movie. It was very sad. There were parts of it that were very uncomfortable to watch. But, you know, I think it's really important as being part of the LGBTQIA plus community in 2020 to pay homage to those that came before us. I think it's important to know our history, which I have personally. I've taken it on to like kind of research and look into a lot of that, because that's important to me to know my history of, you know, where I came from and the people that came before me, the people that made it able for my husband and I to be married today, or to go to a gay bar, or, you know, to hold hands in public. And I was thinking about it, you know, when I was watching it, that, like, you know, in 1968, like, people were being arrested and things like that, you know, and it's like, here I am on YouTube and I'm talking about the history of my coming out and my experiences, and you know, my husband and our relationship and marriage counseling. I mean, those are just things that you wouldn't have talked about, you know, 30 years ago. I was terrified to come out. I was absolutely terrified to come out, and that was in 1990, you know. And I know people are terrified of coming out today. And my circumstances were so different than everybody else, but I mean, there's still a lot of fear in coming out today, understandably so, you know. And so anyway, we watched the movie, and I don't know, it just really affected me, and it made me very proud. It made me like a proud gay man watching that movie. And then watching the second part of it, you know, and hearing the completely out gay cast talk about their experiences with making the film, and how cool it is that there is complete representation in their own voices playing the roles of gay men, you know, in this movie is like, I don't know, there's something extremely powerful to me about that. And I don't know, I just think it's really, really cool. And I started crying listening to this guy talk about how he had, you know, written this play, and it was like basically all these guys were based on friends of his. And I don't know, I was thinking back to my early days, you know, and Alex and I were talking about how we're like, you know, like Alex had a group of like 3 gay guy friends as well that he was really, really close with. And, you know, they like, one lives here and has a boyfriend and has had a boyfriend for a long time. They came to our wedding, and another one of his really, really close friends lives in Chicago now, moved up there. And another one of his friends, I think, lives in Denver, and they like hardly ever talk. His friend in Chicago, they talk quite a bit, but they were like the closest of the two. And his other friend that lives here in Indianapolis, they actually lived in a house in, the two of them lived in a house in Bloomington when Alex was at IU, with like Alex's friend Sarah and I think 2 other girls. The 5 of them lived in this house together. And, but you know, Alex was saying, are you kidding me? My battery is dying. This is going to be one of those vlogs tonight, I can just tell. Well, thank God I brought 2 extra batteries with me. So we're going to slip into here, and we're going to change this battery and be on our way. I can't believe it. I'm just going to let the battery die out while I'm pulling in here. But anyway, Alex was talking tonight about, like, he was like, you know, I love my girlfriends, and he was like, and I love my relationships that I have with my girlfriends. He was like, but sometimes I miss, like, having really close relationships with gay guys, too, like, close friendships. And I was like, I do too, and it's just, I think it's like, I'm still close with my gay guy friends, but I just don't talk to them as much, like, or as regularly as I do my girlfriends, because, those are, I think it's just, the circumstances of our lives. I think, like, if Alex and I don't know, I think if we maybe live downtown or something, or in a different city, we might have more gay friends, but neither one of us really do have that many close gay guy friends that we go see on a regular basis. Hold on a second, let me change this battery. Okay, back. And a lot of people say, like, well, why is it important for you to have, gay guy friends and whatever? I don't know, and I think it's the same thing with representation. I think it's important to, I don't know, I think it's important to have people around you that are similar to you in some ways or whatever. It's like, and when Tanya and I know that I'm Tanya's best friend and she knows that I'm hers, but at the same time, it's like, I know that it's important for Tanya to have relationships with women. I understand that, I don't take away the importance of that for her, because it's important for her to have relationships with other women, and I understand that, and I believe that too, and I don't know, maybe that doesn't make sense to people, but it's kind of like, I don't know. But I was thinking back on, like, just all the funny times that we would have, like getting ready to go out to a bar, all of us, or, this is when we were in relationships too, so. I don't know. I never had tons of close gay guy friends. There was that period that I had those 3 friends, and that was over the period of several years. And there was, right before I got sober, my best friend of a couple years was, 2 gay guys, but one specifically that I was super, super close with. We actually talked a couple years ago, and it was like, I literally had not talked to him in like 15 years, and it was like no time had gone by. And he and his roommate, who were 2 of my dearest friends when I got sober, they actually came to visit me on Christmas Day in treatment. They were the only ones that I allowed to come visit me, and they were so supportive of me. And my friend, my main friend, he was a couple years older than me. He was like the one guy, like we stayed close friends for probably my first 2 years after I got sober. And his life, he and I drank a lot together, and we did drugs together and partied together, and we had fun together. And went out of town together a lot. And he was probably the one person out of my entire circle of friends that I knew at the time, I think, that was really affected by my getting sober. And I do not believe that he was an addict or an alcoholic, but that's not mine to say. Maybe he was, I don't know. But he doesn't work a 12-step program, but he stopped everything. And he got real focused on school. And then he got into a master's program. And then he got a really great job for a really great organization that he still works at today. And he's real healthy today. He's like into bike riding, and he does these like, 20, 30 mile bike ride deals. And he's super, super healthy today, and doesn't do any of that. Doesn't go out, doesn't talk to anybody from our past, nothing. And I think he just kind of was like, I want something from my life. I see what Peter's gone through. And he was really supportive of me. And my friend that lives in Denver, that is really one of my very dearest friends, I met, that I almost moved out to Denver for. I actually met him through this friend of mine because they were dating. Like, they started dating because they were working together at that time when I first got sober. And that's how I met him. And then my friend kind of like isolated himself, and so I kind of like became better friends with the other friend. But I don't, like, I keep my circle really small today, you know, like, I mean, I really, like, I know people don't believe it, but I really don't have that many people in my life. I have, like, Tanya Jean, who I see, like, a couple times a week. I talk to Valerie probably every other day. We text or call each other. Melissa and Jason are our best friends that are a couple, you know, but, like, I'll call Melissa and talk to her, you know, once a week or something. We usually get together. Tonight we were texting about getting tickets to go see these Christmas lights at the Indianapolis Museum of Arts. It's called Newfields. But I don't, like, other than that and a couple of my recovery friends and my sponsor, like, that's all I talk to. Like, I don't, Caroline I talk to on the phone, my cousin, but, like, I don't see, like, a lot of other people. And I've kind of done that to myself through the years. You know, I'm just not a really, really social person the way that I used to be. You know, even though I have a lot of social anxiety when I was younger, I was very social. Not so much when I got sober, because I was working so much, and then when I was working and I was in grad school, you know, and then I had like an internship, I was in grad school and I was working 50 hours a week. So, I mean, I was always busy, you know. And then when my ex and I got together was when all of my friends kind of moved away. And so I didn't really talk to them as much anymore. And I mean, it would be off and on. I talked to one of them and then not so much. And yeah. And then when he and I broke up, I almost moved to Denver because I was going out there and I was visiting my friend in Denver a lot. And I loved Denver. I mean, I really, like, if I had not met Alex, I would be in Denver right now, period. Susie lives in Denver, so, you know, like, I was just texting her yesterday. And, you know, I was like, I felt like I had family out there because of that. And my Aunt Susie, my mom's friend, her best friend. And so, I don't know, I just felt like Denver was the place for me to go. And then I met Alex, and I was like, okay, well, this changes everything, you know? And then I didn't move to Denver. I even had the area and everything that I wanted to be in out there at the time. I don't know if it's a cute area today or not, but at the time it's called Lodo. It's really cute. They had like these like loft apartments and stuff. But anyway, so yeah, it was reminding me a lot. So that friend of mine, he had an apartment in Fountain Square, which now Fountain Square is like super artsy. And it's like, art galleries and like all of the like hipster bars and hipster restaurants are there, and it's real cutesy, you know, it's very hipsterish. And that's like where all like the young people go and in Indianapolis, and it is fun. I love Fountain Square. But when when I was in high school, we used to go there for the thrift stores, and it wasn't cute at all. And like the only thing that was cute there was they had like duck pin bowling. And then when my friend lived there, which would have been let's see, so my ex and I got together in 2001, so it would have been like 97 to maybe 2003 or something, 2002, 2003. He lived in this apartment, and the apartment was fantastic. I mean, it literally looked like a thrift store, like vomited everywhere. It was so cool. And he had all those paintings with like the people that had the big eyes, you know? And then he had like beads hanging everywhere. It was just a really cool apartment. And it overlooked like the main street in Fountain Square, and he was on top of an art gallery. It just was a fun apartment. We would always go there and hang out before and after and stuff like that. So anyway, that was fun. I was thinking about that tonight. It kind of reminded me of that. I don't know. I got crying, and Alex was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I was just thinking about, like, all the people that came before us, you know, that, like, had to hide their lives because of what the world looked like at that time, you know, and I'm so incredibly grateful for that. Like, I mean, we don't have to live like that today, you know, and, I mean, we may not have all of the rights that we want today, and we may still be treated, you know, with oppression in some situations, but we don't have to hide today, which, I mean, I just... And I think it was cool seeing the guy that had written it, like, interacting with the actors that were much younger than him, too, and they, like, were sharing their experiences. Like, that was really cool in the after thing. So it was interesting watching that, because I had talked today in my BookTube video about the importance of representation in books, you know? Because, like, 3 of the things that I bought today were, like, young adult LGBTQIA plus books. And, one of them was called, oh, I can't remember what the title of it, Felix something. It's an audiobook I bought. It was actually on sale on Audible. It was a daily deal. And it's about a trans guy and his experiences. And then another book that I bought, was called Here All Along or something like that. And the book came today, and I bought that. It's by Vitor, V-I-T-O-R, Martins. He's like a Brazilian author. It looks really good. And Rainbow Rowell gave it, like, amazing reviews and all this kind of stuff. And then I got this graphic novel from Alice Oseman, and I think it's called Heartbreakers or something like that. I wanted to buy all 3 of them, and the 3rd one doesn't come out until January, so I pre-ordered it today because I just sat there in one sitting and read 95 pages. It's so good, and it's real short too. It's so good. And I think it's based on characters from her book Solitaire, which I'm going to read next after I get done with Ready Player 2. And but I was talking, you know, in my BookTube video today about, like, why, like, I think like LGBTQIA plus any kind of representation is important in books or movies or TV shows, and why it's really important to not play that down in pop culture and literature. Because if you think about the majority of us when we're growing up, like, where do we go to see ourselves? You know, we go to movies, we go to TV, we go to books, right? And so when I was growing up, just to put it all on the table, when I was growing up and I was, let's say, 14, 15, 16, and I knew inside that I was gay, and I knew that I had crushes on guys, and I wanted to make sense of it, and I wanted to normalize it, and I wanted to feel like I wanted to find myself in other people's stories, so to speak, right? I can remember being fascinated with stories that came out that, like, I didn't, I remember, like, that movie with, I can't think of her name, but she was Sabrina in, Kate Jackson is her name, Sabrina in Charlie's Angels, and her husband was having an affair and he was gay. It was always movies like that, right? Like, it was some kind of treacherous story. And, you know, or it was like the super gay guy in A Chorus Line. I can remember watching that movie, you know, and it was always like the super gay guy. And I can remember, like, it's always like it was a joke, you know? It was like, I even remember watching, like, Roseanne, and she did, oh, why can't I think of his name? The guy that was her boss at the diner, and she did their wedding, and she did, like, a gay wedding, and she had, like, Liza Minnelli impersonators, and it was just, you know, it just was even stuff like that, which was funny, but like, I mean, for a long time when you're like, you laugh at the joke, I think. Like, I laughed at the joke for a long time until I realized I was laughing at myself, and that's not funny. You know, I allowed people for a very long time to tell really inappropriate gay jokes around me. And then one day I just realized, or just decided, that I wasn't going to laugh at those jokes anymore. I was going to stand up for myself, and if people told those jokes around me, I'd say, you know, that joke makes me kind of uncomfortable. I don't think it's appropriate, you know? And it's interesting when you say that to people, because they'll say, like, especially if it's like, well, women don't usually tell those jokes. It's usually heterosexual men. And then if you say something, they'll say, oh, come on, you know I love you, I'm just joking. And I'm like, but I can see that you think I'm this funny thing, right? Like, it's funny to you. It's not like you don't take it seriously. Which means if you don't take me seriously, then you minimize my life, you minimize my relationships, you minimize everything in comparison to yours. Yours are more important or more serious than mine are, right? That's not the case. Which then leads to people thinking that gay people don't have the right to be married, because if you're making fun of me and you think I'm funny and you think I'm, oh, this and all that kind of stuff, then I'm this funny thing, right? And funny things don't deserve rights. They don't deserve seriousness, right? So therefore, you're never going to look at your marriage and my marriage the same way. And those are the people that have been a problem in the past, because those are the people that don't understand why I deserve to be married just like everybody else, because it's my human right, period. Okay, so, and I know that there are people out there that don't agree with that, but that's how I feel. So, and I think you probably know that if you watch my channels, because I'm gay and I'm married, and I'm very proud of that fact. And my husband and I really worked hard for marriage equality in this country. And, but there was a time that I stopped with the jokes. But I can remember when I was telling this story today, and I actually told this story to Tanya, and I said to her the other day, I said, you know, I don't know that I've told this to you before. Because Tanya sometimes gets really sad when she hears these stories about my childhood. Like, and it's things that you wouldn't guess that made her sad, but like just imagining me being like bullied. Like, that's really hard for Tanya to hear when I tell her specific stories about being bullied. And it was interesting with this Alice Oseman book tonight. I'm going to tell you about this in a second, but I was telling Tanya the other day, and I said it in my BookTube video today to some degree. I'll probably go into it more now, but like, I can remember going to Walden Books or B. Dalton, and I can remember like my dad or like my mom being with me, and then them being like, okay, my dad being like, I'm gonna run into like Sears or something, you know, and I'll come back and get you in like 10 minutes. And I'd be like, okay. And I would go to like B. Dalton or Walmart or Walden Books in the mall, and the only section that I could find any kind of representation of being gay was either standing in the magazine racks and looking at the Playgirl magazines or whatever else that were hidden behind the Playboy magazines and being terrified to pull one down, you know, and so I didn't. Or maybe I did once or twice, I don't know, you know. Or standing, the only books I could find were in like and if you're gay and you're my age, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? The only kind of like LGBTQIA, well, forget all the rest of it. I mean, the closest you could even get if you identified anywhere on that spectrum was gay, because there wasn't any anything else, which is how close-minded the world was back then. I mean, this is 30 years ago. We think about that, right? Like, that isn't really that long of a time when the only kind of representation I could find would be, they would have like the gay literature, which would be like 5 books next to gay erotica, which was always next to human sexuality, okay? Which was then next to self-help books. So you're standing there at 14, 15, 16, and you're thinking, okay, number one, I'm thinking, I don't know what everybody else thought, but I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, okay, these books are secret, they're dirty, I shouldn't be looking at them, okay, but I want to look at them, you know, and then I'm looking at them, and there are books that are called things like The Kama Sutra of Gay Sex. Okay, now why am I looking at that at 16 years old and finding identification? Like, I mean, I should be reading you know, something like Becky Albertalli's Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, okay? I should be reading books about people my age that have crushes on other people their age, because that's what other people my age are watching and reading and identifying with, but I didn't have that. So I'm finding myself in a bookstore, okay, reading some Maurice novel about a guy that's gay in the 1700s or something, because that's the only identification that I can find, right? And then leaving the bookstore and like peering over my shoulder, constantly afraid that my dad's gonna walk through the door any second and see me standing in this human sexuality section, of which I just quickly shift over to the next aisle, because it'd be better if he found me looking at sex books than anything else, right? Oh, and by the way, right next to it is self-help. So that immediately makes you think that there's something wrong with you. You know, and it's like all of this is going through my head at 16, and I'm like the secret keeper. I'm keeping all the secret, you know, and I can remember my mom loves psychology books, and she had the Kinsey Institute put this huge book out. It was like this big on human sexuality. It was like 600 pages or something, I can remember. And like I would go through there and read things just to feel like normal about stuff, you know, like, I don't know, like I just never did. And I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. And I didn't have anybody to sit there and say, well, he's cute or whatever, you know? And nobody. That's a lonely feeling, you know? And in fact, what's so interesting is that later, when guys that I was in high school with came out, of which there weren't many, I think there were only 3 or 4 in my class, when they came out, like 2 of them thanked me, and another one from another class thanked me for coming out, being out in high school. And I'm like, I wasn't out in high school, you know? But they just assumed that I was. And I think about that, you know, and I think, like, I don't know, like, that's why it's important that we have representation in books today, so that we don't feel like freaks. And we don't feel, I'm not a freak. And, yeah, I'm not a freak. But I felt that way. And I felt like I had to keep it a secret. And then that was where this plan of living the rest of my life as a secret started to develop. Like, I was going to get married and have kids, and I was going to have to keep this all a secret, and I was going to have to just wish it all away and pray it all away, because, which I think is a lot of times why too, like, I wasn't a religious or spiritual teenager, but, you know, you think about a lot of teenagers that are, I mean, there are a lot of, like, highly religious teenagers out there that end up really, really hating themselves. Like, that was a major part of the movie tonight, The Boys in the Band, the main character, Michael, you know, that, and I've known a lot of gay guys like this that internally hate themselves because they're gay, you know, because they've been told all their life that that's wrong. I don't know why I was so blessed to have the parents that I did, but my parents basically told me that, you know, that I was loved no matter what. And the God that they believed in, you know, didn't make junk, basically. And, you know, that God made me the way that I was supposed to be. And I'm grateful for that. But, you know, that's not what a lot of people get. I always knew, like, coming out, like, I always knew, like, if I did, like, I always knew that I would be accepted and loved by my parents. I always knew that, and my friends and family. But I just could never imagine doing it. Like, and I don't know if you've heard this story, but I was getting my haircut, actually, right up here, which is so funny. I was getting my hair cut, and my stepmother and I, this thing is driving me crazy, this hair right here. My stepmother and I had the same hairstylist. And I had a fake ID, and I was going out. And, this is before I got my legit fake ID, though. I was just using somebody else's ID at this point. It's real easy to, I mean, first of all, well, today in 2020, I don't think it's easy to get in bars as it was back then. But when in 1990, it wasn't hard to get in bars. If you had a fake ID, they looked at it 2 seconds and they passed it on. It really wasn't hard to get into gay bars, okay? Especially if you were 18, 17. I mean, they just did not care. That's just the truth, and I don't care what they say, but they can deny that all they want. But there were quite a few of us, let's just put it that way. There were, I can't see if it's out of focus or not, you guys, but like, cause I've been wearing my reading glasses all day, but they did not care when I was They didn't care back then, you know, they just didn't. So they looked at our fake IDs for like, they knew we weren't 21, you know? And we would go into these bars and we were, you know, running them and stuff. But anyway, I ran into my hairstylist and he made some, later he said to me, he was like really apologetic about it. He said, I would never have outed you. I want you to know that to your family. He was always really nice to me. But he said something to me in the bar, and he said something, I saw him, and he was like, oh, does your stepmom know you're out here? At the boy bar, he said, or something like that. I was like, I got scared, and I made a decision. I can remember literally, I mean, like, I wasn't thinking through a lot back then, drinking the way that I was, because, you know, alcohol made me okay inside. Alcohol made me feel like I was going to be okay. Like I could live that fantasy, you know? And you couldn't tell me anything that was wrong with myself. Oh, my hand hurts so bad. But when I was sober, I could actually think through some stuff. And I can remember thinking to myself, I don't care who knows. I mean, I really didn't at that point. I was done with high school. I graduated like June 1st on the date, and I came out on the 29th on my birthday. And I can remember thinking to myself as soon as I graduated from high school, I don't care who knows now. I've dealt with this for 12 years of my life. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I don't care. And I mean, I went out to the gay bars and you want to talk about representation. I felt like part of something that I had never been part of before. It's the same feeling I had when I got sober and I got into recovery and the rooms of recovery and 12-step program. Like I felt like I had been, I felt like I had arrived. I felt like I was home. And, you know, people were friendly to me. It was a different situation back then. I feel like they're so like, I don't feel like when I came out, like there were so many different cliques and, you know, people, I don't know, maybe because I was kind of like in the popular crowd, I didn't notice it, maybe it was different, but it didn't feel that way. It felt like all gay people loved each other, you know what I mean? Like, it was kind of like, I see you, you know, like, I don't know. And over time, it didn't feel like that anymore. It felt like the LGBTQIA community really was segregated, you know, and it was like, I don't know, it just felt like that over time. But I don't go out to gay bars, and I haven't in forever, and I'm not part of, you know, gay volleyball teams or any of that kind of stuff, or softball teams, and I never have been, and I was always part of more of an artsy crowd, so I don't know, maybe that's why. But I remember he said that to me, and I was scared, and I remember I made a very divisive, is the word I'm looking for, I made this decision, and I was like, I don't care who knows I'm gay anymore. Like, I literally, like, this happened, like, right after I graduated. It was, like, the weekend after, I think, and I was like, I do not care who knows that I'm gay anymore. Like, I'm done with high school. They can't use it against me. They can't hurt me anymore. I'm not going to see these fools anymore as long as I live. I don't really care, as long as my parents don't have to hear it from somebody on the street. Like, I didn't want, especially my mom, because I knew, like, if my hairstylist or somebody said something to my stepmom, because my stepmom was, like, super liberal. She could care less. She had lots of gay friends and stuff like that, and not that that means anything, but it did mean something back then. I mean, she just didn't care. She just wanted the best for me. And I think because she was younger than my mom and dad, too, like, and she'd gone to art school. Like, when I was in high school, my stepmom got an art degree. She paints. She's a painter. And, like, so she got her degree in fine arts. But anyway, so she had a lot of friends that were gay. She went to New York City on this gallery trip with her friends. I mean, just, I think they went to Limelight and stuff like that. I mean, she just was with it, you know? Like, she didn't care. It just didn't mean anything to her. But I was afraid, like, with the drinking and everything and the drugs, because they knew that it was a problem, that if I came out and they knew that, but I hadn't come to them, I was afraid, like, my dad or my stepmom, I was afraid my dad would call, like my stepmom would say to my dad, you need to call Peter's mom and let her know what's going on. And then I was kind of worried that my mom would freak about it. Not because I was gay, but because I just thought she'd be afraid, which is exactly what happened when she found out. And so I was kind of like, I don't really care who knows, as long as they don't hear it from somebody on the street, that they hear it from me first. And so over the next 2 weeks, I kind of slowly started telling my friends, because my 2 friends that I was going out with to the gay bars, the one friend of mine who had been my friend from elementary, junior high, kindergarten, elementary, junior high, high school, college, graduate school, and everything, she worked in the mall. I have no idea when I stopped talking, because all of a sudden I looked up and the screen was just completely black. So I don't know what happened, how long I've been, it's been stopped, but it stopped at some point. So anyway, I was talking about how, like, at some point over the month of June, like, I knew I was going to tell my parents by the end of I was like, by the time I'm 18, I'm going to tell my parents. But I was nervous as hell about it. And I was like, telling my friends, close friends, over the course of that month. Which those 2 friends, I was talking about 2 friends of mine that we went out together a lot, because my friend that I had from elementary, well, kindergarten, elementary, junior high, high school, college, graduate school, I just said this, so I'm repeating myself because I don't know where it stopped, whatever. But she was working at the mall, and so she was friends with a lot of gay guys that were older. Like, she worked at Lane Bryant, and she had all these friends that were, like, at kiosks and stuff, and worked at the Gap, and so she was friends with these guys that were, like, you know, managers of the Gap, and were, like, 25 and whatever, and they, you know, adored her and stuff, so they wanted to take her out, and I was, like, the friend that came along, and my other friend was, too. And so, I, at the time, was saying that I think I said I was bi-curious, I'm not sure. When I was in high school, I would say a lot that I was asexual, and that was long before we even used that term realistically like we do now. I just would say, and to me that meant that I'm just not a sexual person at all. I was really scared of my sexuality in high school, like really scared of it. I was very innocent, minded. I'm not going to say that I didn't think about stuff, because I did, but I was just very scared. I was very innocent when I was in high school in my head. Like, I almost, you know, like, when anybody would bring stuff up like that, I just, you know, it was interesting because I was reading this Alice Oseman book tonight, and one of the main characters in the book, it's this graphic novel called Heartbreakers, and one of the main characters, and I've told parts of this before, but I haven't elaborated on it, still hard for me to talk about sometimes, but one of the main characters in the book, who is kind of out, they don't really say that he is, but everybody speculates, like me. He has this other guy that, like, basically forces himself on him and wants to make out with him and stuff like that, because he's gay, but he doesn't want anybody to know, and he's afraid that he'll be found out. And a very similar story to me. Anyway, it was hard reading that tonight, I think, because, you know, we don't hear a lot about that, but, so anyway, I told all my friends for that month, and then it got down to my birthday, and I was like, you said you were going to do it by your 18th birthday, and I was scared to death, right? So, I went over to my dad and my stepmom's first, just to see them, like, for my birthday. I can see myself in the kitchen. It's like, they have, like, this sitting area in their kitchen, like, in front of the fireplace, with, like, this big chair and ottoman and this couch and stuff. And I'm sitting, I can see myself sitting on the end of the ottoman, and they're on the couch, and I was talking to them. And, they were completely fine with it. I remember my stepmom made some joke. She said something about, I had a lot of friends that were drag queens, and I think that I had introduced them to some of them for, like, I had introduced them to, like, 2 of my friends that were drag queens, and, like, I would do that and not think anything of it. Like, I think I'm just not very, like, sharp when it comes to stuff. Like, I would do that and maybe I wanted them to think something, I don't know. But my stepmom made some joke about, and I don't care if your size something high heels are sitting by the front door in the morning, just don't steal mine, or something like that. And I said, what? Or something, I didn't get it. And she's like, I mean, if you ever wanted to do drag or something like that, we would be completely comfortable with that as well. I mean, they were so over the top accepting, it was unreal. And in fact, I found out later through somebody else, like, and I actually did not even actually kind of confront my dad about this till like probably 10 years after it happened. But my dad and another surgeon got in a huge argument in the hospital because this guy made a homophobic slur, and my dad like checked him and said, excuse me, what did you say? And the other doctor said the comment again, and it was like, you know, effins, you know, something like that. And my dad said, you don't speak that way. And he was like, my son is gay, and I am proud of my son, and when you're using that language, you're offending me. So watch your mouth. And my dad is a tall, muscular guy, like, you don't F with him, you know? And it was like this huge deal. And I didn't know it until like 10 years later, and it came up, and somebody told me, it was like a nurse that worked at the hospital told me that my dad had done that, and like everybody knew that you don't screw with it, you know, Dr. Monn's kid. And anyway, proud of my dad for that. My dad's a cool guy, you know? He's always had my back. And I remember my dad shared stories with me, like we were talking, and he shared a lot of stories with me. Like my dad was literally, I think there's like this mysticism that like all straight guys at one point or another screw around with other guys. I just don't believe that to be true. I think there are a lot of heterosexual men that like, okay, I have to say this, like, okay, Jason, Melissa's husband, is such a fine example of this. I think those men that are the most comfortable with their sexuality, heterosexual men, are the ones that have absolutely no problem with gay men whatsoever. And my dad is one of those guys. Like, he's not threatened. He could care less, right? It's always guys that I think are maybe not super comfortable with their sexuality that are a little bit threatened by it. Or they're super religious. It's one or the other. And so they just believe it's wrong. Which I don't think religious people that think it's wrong have issues with their own sexuality. I think they truly, truly do believe that, you know, from their point of view. And I respect that. That's their business. But just don't throw it in my face. You believe what you need to believe and keep it out of my path, you know, and out of my lane. But, you know, like, I think my dad is, like, I've always, you know, met a lot of, I've met a lot of, like, heterosexual men that are completely comfortable with Alex and I and whatever, and it's just never been an issue. I mean, like, I remember when Alex and I were, this is gonna make me cry, I remember when Alex and I were really bad and our marriage was not going well. And we were supposed to go out to dinner one night as a couple, and, it was before we got into marriage counseling. And I remember we were supposed to go out to dinner with Jason and Melissa, and we kind of just looked at each other that night and we were like, I just don't think we're going to make it, you know? Like, I just don't think it's going to happen. And this is why we so believe in marriage counseling. Marriage counseling saved our marriage and our lives, but I love my husband so much. And I remember he said, Alex was so upset, and he was like, I can't go to dinner with Jason and Melissa. Like, let's just cancel it. And I was like, no, I think that we need to spend some time apart right now and really think about things. So I'm going to go to dinner with them. And I remember I tried so hard to play it off like everything was okay. And Jason kept on pushing about like where Alex was. Hold on a second. And I said, you know, you guys, like, I need to be real honest with you. Like, things are not good between us. And I said, you know, we're thinking about going to marriage counseling, but we're not sure. And Jason's definitely the more emotional out of the two of them. But Melissa gets super emotional about dogs. I will say that. But anyway. And so Melissa just was like, well, what are you talking about? You guys are great. And I was like, no, Melissa, we really aren't. Like, it's bad. Like, it's really bad, you know? And I remember Jason just looked at me with these tears in his eyes, and just like a tear like ran down his face, and he looked at me, we were at Basbo's Pizza, and he goes, what are you saying? And I was like, I'm saying, Jason, that I don't know that we're going to make it, something to that effect. And he was like, and I remember vividly, he said, like, no more Peter and Alex. And, like, they're so invested in our marriage, you know, and that's what you need to do, is you need to get you a couple that's as invested in your marriage as you are in your own marriage, you know what I mean? Because they have supported us 100% of the way, and we don't BS them about our problems, and they don't BS us about theirs, and we talk, you know, like, it's so fantastic to have a couple to realize, you know, Tanya and her husband do the same thing for me. It's like, you know, to make me realize that, like, a lot of our problems are just couple problems that couples have from time to time. Other problems we need to seek, you know, help for. And thank God that we did. And thank God we made it through. And our marriage is 100 times better now. And tonight, when we were if you've watched the movie, it'll make sense to you. There's a part in the movie where they have to call up somebody and they get points for calling up a crush or somebody that they love, their long lost love of life, and then they get a point for asking to talk to them, and they get a point for, then they get 5 points or something for telling them they love them. So Alex goes upstairs after the movie, and he said, he called me, and I said, hello, and he goes, can I speak to Peter? And I said, this is Peter. And he said, this is Alex Paredes. And I said, hi, Alex. And he goes, I have to tell you something. And I said, okay. And he goes, you're a bitch. And I said, you're a bitch. Anyway, I love my husband so much today. But, you know, it was bad back then. But, you know, my dad's a badass. And he's always had my back. Going back to that. But I remember he told me stories, like, you know, when he was in the fraternity house, and he'd be like, you know, I would hear things about guys, like, having, like, I'd hear rumors, and this is so weird to me, I think, like, 1960 you did, you know, but of course, like, I mean, here we are with the stories, you know, from back in the day. He would say, like, I heard stories, oh my God, look, you guys over there, Connor Perry has all their Christmas lights on, can you see? You can pay to drive through there. I want to do that so bad. And then look over here. You guys, it's huge. It's ginormous. I don't know if you can see all this, but coming up here, they have green and red lights all the way down to where you begin and drive through. Here it is right here. It starts. Oh, because tonight it started. Oh, I forgot. Look at this. You can see. I wonder what the hours are on that. Do you see this? Look at that. I don't know if you can see it, if it's showing up on there. Is it showing up on there? Do you see all the red and green? Isn't that so cool? And then look, it goes back all the way over here. All the way around. See, it's all the way back there. Those are all the lights that used to be at John Deere, and now they're at Connor Prairie, which makes me kind of sad, but whatever. Because at Connor Prairie, you could just drive through whenever you wanted to. Now my camera's out of focus. Come on, don't do this tonight. Stop it. Okay, I had to stop it and start it. But I can remember my dad telling me stories and being like, you know, like, friends of his that came out to him through the years, and, you know, that he remembered guys, like, in the fraternity house, like, messing around, and, but he said he was never propositioned, and, you know, I think my dad, like, honestly, I think he would have told me the truth, too, if, like, he had been, and stuff like that had happened. But I also don't think that, like, experimenting equals somebody being gay, you know, at all. And I think, like, I think if one thing, you know, I do know from male friends of mine that are sober that have asked me this personally, it's like, you know, and they're 40, and it's been in their head since they were, you know, in college or whatever, that they messed around with a guy, like, one time. They're like, to this day, they've got 3 kids and they're married, and, like, does that make me gay? And I'm like, no, like, being gay is being attracted to men. It's having butterfly, you know, or a woman or whatever. Attraction is having butterflies in your stomach when you see that person, or wanting to spend your go to a movie with them or spend your life with them, or you can't stop thinking about them, or, you know, and then consistently when it's, you know, one gender, it probably means that you're attracted to that gender. And when it's more than one gender, it's, you know, and now we have all of these different, you know, identifications. And it's why I think, you know, it helps people figure out who they are to some degree. And, and that's why I love the saying that love is love is love, because it really is. I mean, it feels the same way, you know, and I think when you've ever had those butterflies inside those, you can't wait to see somebody when you see them, right? And sometimes, like, those butterflies don't make sense. Sometimes we feel them about people that society doesn't think is okay, or our families don't think is okay, or our friends don't think is okay, you know? But you gotta live your truth of who you're attracted to. And I think, you know, one of the scariest moments of my life was getting sober. I really sometimes look back and I think, well, what stuck? I don't really know what stuck. I don't really know why. I just don't sometimes know why I'm here still, you know, and what stuck with me all those years back. And the other thing is, I don't really, like, I don't remember the moments before. I remember coming out to my mom, too, and I've told that story on here enough times, but, like, I don't remember, like, the moments before saying it to her, or saying it to my dad and my stepmom. I just remember knowing that I needed to and being very scared, like, being very scared. And but I don't remember how I said it. I don't really know what I was scared of. I think maybe my truth more than anything. You know, I think it was really me being scared of who I was deep down. And I had really never said those words out loud till that month, you know. I can remember, I remember reading this in a book years later, like 20 years later. But I remember that somebody doing this. I remember standing in a mirror and looking in the mirror and saying, I'm gay. And it was, like, terrifying to me. I remember doing that when I was in high school. And I was like, and I never said it again. I did it, like, one time and I never said it again. I don't think. I was, like, terrified to say those words out loud and that they could hold any kind of truth, you know? And I think that's why it's so important, you know, like the movie Love, Simon, I thought was fantastically done. I thought addressing the dad's issues of ignorance and then him changing throughout the course of the movie, I thought was fantastic. I thought showing Simon having just normal friends and being, you know, a normal, like, kid in high school. I think it's important, you know, I think we need to have more movies and TV shows about older people coming out, because there's a lot of people that are coming out that are older, you know, that have been married and have kids and have lived in the closet for a really long time. And I think that we need to have more representation with that. I think that's an important area, because I think that we focus so much on the younger generation, which is important, don't get me wrong. Like, I think that there needs to be so much, right? But, you know, I think, like, that's why the movie, and you know what, I ended up actually getting Amazon Prime 1 year for it, and then I canceled it after that, but we have it now, and I've never watched it since, because I wanted to watch, oh shoot, what was the movie about, trans something, Judith Light was in it, played the ex-wife, and it was about the kids mostly. Anyway, it was fantastic. I watched 2 seasons of it and I was hooked. And I wanted to keep Amazon Prime to keep on watching it, but I haven't. And I don't know if it's still on, and I haven't gone back and watched it, so I need to. I actually met one of the actresses on that show. That's a story for another time. That was a really kind of, like, cool thing that happened. But I watched that show. I remember that show, the movie with Jessica Lange, where her husband began transitioning. It was called Normal, I think. I think movies like this, I think shows like Looking on HBO, I think even retrospectives like, well, I mean, not really retrospectives, but movies that show the past, like the movie with Mark Ruffalo and Julia Roberts that talked about the AIDS crisis and the Gay Men's Health Crisis Center in New York City. What was that show called? Beating Heart, Normal Heart, I think. Like, that was so powerful. I think it's important to see all generations. You know, I was telling Alex, like, one of the Ryan Murphy shows that they showed on there was the Secret Love about the lesbian couple. Like, that movie was like, even though it irritated me at points, but you have to read what happens afterwards to really find out, like, because the daughter-in-law changed, or the niece changes a lot. If you read up on the articles about that afterwards, it's very cool. She changes a lot, and she and Pat I think it's Pat, get close. But, you know, I think it's important to read about all of that at all ages, you know, people coming out and people feeling like they, I mean, because, I don't know. I've rambled on and on and on about this tonight. Needless to say, what I'll say is watch Boys in the Band. It's a powerful movie. It's really good. It's intense. I will tell you, it's hard to watch at times. But it's powerful. It's really good. Tanya told me tonight she and Eric watched a movie called Uncle Frank. And she'd show me the trailer for it, and I want to watch that as well. And then Tanya said she watched Hillbilly Elegy, and Caroline yesterday said Hillbilly Elegy was really, really good. Caroline read the book, and she read the audiobook, and then she said the movie with Glenn Close was like fantastic, so I need to watch that too. There's so many good books and movies and TV shows out there that I want to watch. Anyway, has anybody watched Euphoria on Netflix? I keep on hearing good things about that, and I told Alex to watch it, but neither one of us really know anything about it. So anyway, I think that's all I'm going to talk about tonight. I'm going to listen to my audiobook for a while. I've gone over an hour or so. I've been doing some longer vlogs lately, so I think I'm going to stop this right here, and I'm just going to make this real quick and say I hope you guys are having an amazing Friday. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I love you. Bye. I love you. Wait, I love you. Bye. Love you. Bye, love you. I hit the camera at the last minute, so I wanted to come back because I haven't done this in a while. I wanted to say, one more I love you. Annie Lennox. Anyway, not the Eurythmics, but just Annie Lennox. I love that song so much. Anyway, one more I love you. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!